Good evening, Jack. Nice to see you. Oop, am I out of focus? Let's see. I think I'll come into focus eventually. Oops. How's everyone doing? Hey, Sue. How's it going? Hope everyone's having a nice, calm evening. I just started on, I think I mentioned this before, but I started on the beginner meditation course. Hey Mats. Good afton. Swedish. Nice and calm and rainy. This sounds good. I started, I've been looking more into the meditation course, and I have all these ideas of how, like, I could make something really nice and useful, and I will eventually ask people for help with this, because I mean, I talk to a lot of people who begin, but I never asked them, what would you want to know to make it easier to start? So even those of you who are here now who have meditated before, I'm curious as to the things that were difficult when you started out, and the things that you wish you would have known, and things that went wrong or things that went well, and like what kind of guidance you would have needed. So I'm really looking forward to making that into a nice package, something nice, because I had quite a lot of people who come here and they don't chat, or they ask questions, and then they just have very basic questions that can easily be answered, and just make it easier. And I know quite a few things that people get stuck on that are not necessary. There's just so many things that you don't need to do when you start out. Most complex question would be when the meditation ends. That's almost a philosophical question, Jack, because in a way it never ends. But yeah, that maybe that will be that's actually a good title for a section of the course, when the meditation ends. I like that. The problem for me will be that I will tend to I can see how I want to go like, whoa, see everything. I tend to do that when I have my one-day courses that I with people live. Then I tend to just here you go. Here's everything you can run into, everything that can go wrong, everything you should know, everything. When this happens, don't worry. Like this happens, don't worry. When this happens, okay, worry a little bit. No, you normally don't have to worry. But like the kind of things that people run into, just so that they have a sense of it's okay. It's fine. So I tend to over teach, and for this I really want it to be for people who are beginning, so they don't get overwhelmed, and so they don't fall into some of the many traps that you can at the beginning. Mats, there are many questions just about the technique which tripped me up in the beginning. Yeah, so I'm thinking of either doing just one technique, or I think what will be even more useful will be to have 3 really basic techniques. I'm still deciding what those 3 will be, but 3 super simple techniques that anyone can do, because for some people, like we've heard here as well, it's counting the breath is super useful, and it's such a good technique to really bring your awareness here, and you hold on to it, and it gets very calm. But for some people the counting doesn't work. For some people they find it irritating to observing their breath, and then there's other things they can do instead. And as soon as I say that, you can do this. So my main issue, I think, with this course will be we're not going to talk about all of those things. We're just going to make these 3 things so it's easy for people to get a start. And then after that, then they can go into all the other things. But in the beginning, I think it just needs to be not overwhelming. It needs to be clear what to expect. Things that you should think about when you start, because if there are certain directions you can go that just complicate things that you don't need to do, but people tend to do anyway. And also getting clear on why you're actually meditating and what you want out of it. And then all the questions like, how long should I sit? Where should I sit? Do I need to have a special technique mantra? Should I have all the things that can come with that kind of. Hey Nicole Bray, nice to see you. So eventually, Vipassana courses are nice. I mean, Vipassana is awesome, but this is going to be for beginners. And anyway, Vipassana is not really complicated. It's just that it's a bit different, kind of. And I think meditation is a lot like working out. People try to find the optimal technique instead of just picking one. Absolutely, just picking one and sticking to it. One of the issues is that people So here's one of the reasons for that, Mats, is that people start out and they do some kind of technique, and then they expect it to go like this. So they start out, and most people want to be calm, then want to be zen and feel like they're here, and they start out and they're like, oh yeah, it's starting to work. Maybe they even have some experience or something, and then they're like, whoa. And then all of a sudden it just doesn't really work anymore, and they say, oh, something's wrong with the technique. I want another technique. And then they look for another technique, and then they want it to give them special experiences, something spectacular should happen. But especially it goes up and then it goes down, and they believe, oh, this technique is not working for me, I need to look for another technique. If they don't realize that part of the thing that will mean the technique is working is actually that it goes down. It's not supposed to be like this. There are things that happen on the way as you progress, and one of them is that you will feel like you're regressing, but you're actually moving forward. So that's one of the many things that people can be helped by knowing. And also it tends to make it so that people try new techniques, and usually it's, I just want to fix this kind of, and then they're looking for the special technique, one that just is so easy and just will make everything, instead of just like Mats says, it's, you just need to do it all the time, like just over and over and over. I mean, I have basically done the same meditation technique for the last, 12, 13 years? How long ago since I really started with this technique? Yeah, like say 13 or 14 years, I've done pretty much the same way when I meditate, like tens of thousands of hours, just the same thing. Result expectations. Yes, so that is a really good point as well. Like, what kind of results are they expecting? And this is also one of those things. I personally have some kind of resistance towards this. I just want to say, guys, don't look for an expectation. Just start. Trust me, bro. It's good for you. Just try it. It will work out. You're gonna like it, and it's gonna be amazing. But I tend to have a feeling of not wanting to tell people to look for things, even though they can. Even though, yes, I understand people need that to motivate themselves. It's different for me. I mean, I dedicated my whole life to this since 2009 when I ordained. So for me, it's a bit different. I don't really need the motivation to meditate. I know that it's good. I know what it leads to, and I have some very tangible results and changes happen inside me that I can point to. That it's not like I'm just making it up, or it's just feeling good right now. No, it's something has tangibly changed in me, how I perceive the world. So knowing what to expect is a really important point as well, because I think people expect the wrong thing, and they also might go in with the wrong intentions, or the wrong, maybe not intentions, wrong expectations of what should happen. Am I still out of focus? Is the camera having a hard time seeing me? I think it does, right? Oh, let's see if that works. Oh yeah, it seems like it actually shifted some things here. Huh, never mind. So, yeah, result expectations, that's a good one, so I'm going to bring that up for sure. Hey Christian, nice to see you. We're just discussing, I've started with my first course that will be for beginner meditators. So my point is, there's going to be I'd probably do some kind of questionnaire or something. So I would really like the people who come here for the meditations to help out with that, because that would be amazing, since you've actually met me and you will know some of the things that I do that you like or don't like, and things I could bring into the course. So yeah, it's exciting. Vukasin Josik, I thought I was going blind. Yeah. No, you were not. It's just the camera focusing. I'm having some issues with my camera sometimes. I'm changing the setup a little bit, and there's like, I just want it to work, you know. You just want to sit down, and then I shift it from sitting here to when I sit at the desk and have my coaching calls, and then I have to change the settings, and then sometimes they just don't, I don't know, they just get messed up. So if I'm out of focus, it's not because people are going blind. It's because my camera skills aren't as good as I pretend they are. That's for sure. So yeah, I've had a good week. Lots of fun with that. And what else has happened? Yeah, and Christmas is almost here. Like, how? What happened? It's crazy. Christmas is a good time to meditate. I remember I made a video about how to get away during the holidays, because when you meet all your friends and there's all these people and there's all these impressions, that can be a bit overwhelming. And I love looking at expectations. We talk a lot about enjoying being here and appreciating your senses. at the same time, there is one more element that I don't talk so much about, which is being, I don't want to say kind to other people, because kindness can be interpreted, but just being a decent person, just being like, whatever that means to you, just be a decent person. Don't be an idiot. Like, be kind. Damn it. It's so difficult not to say be kind. And don't harm others or other things even. There's like no point to be violent. And that's a really good time to practice during Christmas, because you have all these people coming and you have these expectations, or I want it to be this way. I want to feel this way. And you remember when you were a child and it's not feeling like that way, or someone of you, or in your close family or people you're celebrating with, unless you're celebrating by yourself, will be expecting something from you, and there's conflict. And then really focusing on enjoying just being there without that need for Christmas to be a certain way. But just because Christmas is usually good food, and there's all these lights and nice things to look at, and you're off, and there's a lot to appreciate and take it calm during that time. So appreciating and enjoying, together with just enjoying being with other people and being just nice to other people. It is very enjoyable to interact with other people when you're in a state of enjoying yourself. You're actually much more enjoyable to be around when you enjoy yourself. Sue's asking, how's your neck? Neck is pretty good. I've been going to a yoga for, in Swedish it's called yoga för stela män. So yoga for stiff men, like stiff bodies. And I thought, I mean, my fiance is a yoga teacher, so I look at myself when we do yoga together, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so stiff. And she's like, yeah, just put your arm back here, and then you take your foot and you do this, and just stretch out your legs. Kind of like, yeah, that doesn't really work for me. So I consider myself to be really inflexible. But then when I compare myself to other like middle-aged men, then I am actually really flexible in some regards, and some not. Then I want to get more, but I have problems with my neck and everything. So I started doing that yoga, and it's been fantastic. It's really nice, and it's nice because, I mean, I don't think I'd be able to go to a normal yoga class with like people who go all the time, because I'm just not there, and I want to take it really slow because I have problems. So it's really enjoyable and really good. If you have the chance, like, try it. I highly recommend doing some kind of yoga exercises, especially in a group. I do it myself, but doing it together with a teacher is just different. It's the same as us meditating. You don't really need to come here and listen to me. A lot of people come here, don't even listen to what I'm saying during the meditation, but they still enjoy sitting with others because there's something happening when you're with other people. Jack is saying, I heard once in some village in the Madhya Pradesh region of India from a yogi giving advice that Vipassana is like love. If you have to force it, you are surely making it wrong. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, that's a good point about a lot of things. Even though, it's I agree. Nice. Anyone have anything else, or should we start sitting and then we can continue with questions after? I don't think I had anything. Well, I have lots of things. I had lots of things happen this week that were nice, and some things difficult, but we'll have more time to discuss after. So, for those of you who are new, the way we do it is we usually have some chat in the beginning, and we talk if people have questions, or we just discuss randomly. Nicole is saying, the group meditation has been powerful for me, even online. I'm happy to hear that. It's powerful for me. I mean, I'm not just doing this for you. I enjoy doing this as well. It's a very nice sitting time for me. So we do this, we chat a little bit and get to know each other, and it really is like a community. I mean, it's like a group of people. I feel a connection to everyone who's here, and especially when people come over and over, there's a bond that happens even if we don't see each other. It's a very nice and friendly atmosphere. I am super happy with the people who are coming here. In the beginning, when I started doing this, I was a little bit worried that there would be some off people who would come who wouldn't fit in and would make just difficult conversations and just making people feel uncomfortable. In the spiritual scene, there can be a lot of people who are edgy. But it seems that the people who should come here are attracted to come here, and they come, maybe they see me and they're like, oh my goodness, that idiot, I don't want to listen to him. And you are here, obviously think that, well, at least there's some point in sitting here. So we have a really nice group. We chat a little bit. After that, we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, which is a method where we focus on just seeing our senses and trying not to come in with the sense of self interpreting, or what it really does is it distorts how you view reality. It comes in the way of your senses perceiving the outside world, and the thing in between is you. It's the sense of self, this distortion that feels like you have a relationship to things, and that is distorting it so you can't see how beautiful reality is. So this is just an exercise to come to our senses. Then we sit. Today's Thursday, so there's no... Wait, it is Thursday, right? Yeah, it's Thursday. So today's Thursday, and we don't have any guiding today, guiding us on Mondays. Afterwards, we have some questions and answers if there's any questions people have or something you want to discuss. So I'll start, and you can say it together with me, and we try to say it out loud. And it's not about just counting them off. You really want to stop and observe and use your senses, because we miss so many times what our senses are showing us. So I can see a graph that goes up, 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 and up. I can see a beautiful light bulb. And really look at the things you see. I say beautiful, but appreciate what you see. See that, wow, there is beauty and there is elegance in reality around you. Reality is beautiful, even if you're in a state of not what I call non-centricness, which some would call non-duality, and you don't feel like there's a center point. Watching wallpaper is enjoyable. Watching a rock on the ground is more enjoyable than watching... I was going to say the Oscars. Okay, maybe when Will Smith went up and slapped Chris Rock, that was pretty, I'm not going to say that's fun to watch, but that was like, what? Crazy. But watching wallpaper or a rock on the floor is more enjoyable than that, because you're not in the way. You're not interpreting what's good, what's bad, what excitement is. It's just your senses, and they are enjoyable. So really try to bring that feeling when you look at things around you, and that box is beautiful. I see a roll of tape. I see a box with crayons. I see a power adapter. Those are 5 things that I could see. And then we go to 4 things that we can feel. And here really try to feel what your senses are showing you. Really appreciate what it feels like, because we tend to just touch. We tend to not really use our senses. If you have a partner, I highly recommend you to touch your partner. And I don't mean that in a necessarily sexual way. Obviously, if it's your partner, you should. But just feeling them. What does it feel like to just run your... Okay, maybe not now because you're meditating, but like later, and you can do it to yourself now. Just what does it feel like to run your hand over your arm? When I do this, I can feel the hairs on my arm bristling my hand. I can feel when I press down, it feels different from when I'm just holding it ever so lightly and just feeling the hairs. And there's heat radiating. I can feel some tingling. Some would call that energy from the arm. What does that feel like? And really enjoy that feeling. You're experiencing reality. This is reality. The story you're telling yourself about, oh, my arm is ugly, I don't like myself, this arm should be different, it should be thinner, it should be thicker, it should be darker, whiter, more orange, I don't actually know, but just it should be different than it is. But instead of having all those things you believe should be different, just what does that feel like? And same thing when you're feeling your partner, actually sitting and really feeling their hair, feeling their arms, and the closeness that it brings to really being present with someone, really feeling them is incredible. Just holding someone you love, not needing to do anything, but just being near them. And holding yourself. I can feel my arms, and I can feel my arms being touched. I can feel the glass of my telephone. And finally, I can feel this really cool material on the bottom of my sock. So those are 4 things that I could feel. Now we go to senses that require us to to focus even more because they are used less. We tend to have our eyes are like always there seeing things. After that, we tend to feel things. But then even lower comes seeing, feeling, and then comes hearing. So hearing, using your ears to actually hear things. I mean, when we listen to sounds, we just try to group them into, okay, so this is someone talking, and we just try to figure out what they're saying, but we're not really hearing what they're saying. Like, what does the words sound like? So and listen for nuances within the sound. If you're listening to me talking now, can you hear the timbre of my voice, how there's a melody to it, there's a bass that vibrates from my chest, and there's a midsection to the voice that is a bit more nasal, that has like a what should I call that, a boxy kind of sound. And then there's a little pitchy sound on the top of mine, like I make sounds. Really listen to when someone is talking. Instead of listening to what they're saying, listen to someone talking, if you understand the difference. And hear how that is enjoyable. When you stop caring about what they say, caring sounds bad, to stop caring, but stop focusing on what they say and start listening to them talking. It's enjoyable. And some people have incredibly interesting voices. Say when you listen to music, instead of just hearing the song and the melody and getting into it, really stop and listen. Classical music is so cool with this because they have all these different instruments. It's very clear. Oh, there's an instrument. Oh, there's a string going over there. And then I can hear some kind of drum there. And I don't even know what that instrument is. But you can hear all those different things. So I'm assuming you don't have a string quartet playing next to you right now. You might. I mean, that would be pretty cool. But just listen to what you can hear and try to see nuances in what you're hearing. So not, why would I say that? Don't listen to the music, hear the music. I hope I said that correct. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I can hear my own voice. That's just in the way everywhere right now. And let's see what else we can hear. I can hear the tapping of a fan above me in one of the lights that is rocking something. I hear tires driving on wet asphalt. Those are 3 things that I could hear. Now we go even deeper, almost, to senses that we use even less. So use your smell. Can you smell 2 things around you? I can smell the foot sweat of my sock. And there's also the smell of this plastic. I mean, this is probably half a year old, but it still smells like rubber or plastic. And when you're smelling things, see if you can smell it without going, ooh, like this. An example would be, we had a smell in our kitchen that smelled a bit sweet, and it smelled like puke at the same time. And I was, what is that? And like, did we forget something out? And like, oh no, I know what this is. And I looked above the fridge, and there's a mouse trap. And there was a mouse that had lay there for a while, and he was bloated, and he got stuck on the board that was up there. I actually couldn't get it off because it was, it kind of got stuck there. And the smell almost made me like, it was very strong. So within that, there's the smell, and it's just a smell. But then there's me going, ooh, oh my goodness, that's disgusting. I don't want to do this. So if you take away this part, it's just a smell. Some smells are strong. They can even hurt you sometimes. but it's still just a smell. And there's no reason to react to this. It's just a smell. I mean, it's trying to warn me not to touch something that could potentially be dangerous. But obviously I don't want to leave it there, so I'd have to take it out and then like move that away and clean it. So there's these scents that we consider good or bad, and within good or bad there's a feeling of, ooh, I don't want to. So we don't actually get to just smell it. I'm not saying all smells are nice to smell, but if we look at what things smell like through the filter of the self, we're never really going to smell what they really smell like. Yeah, I'm not on drugs, but sometimes I talk a bit strange, just so you know. So, final thing, one thing that we can taste. I can taste the rooibos in the rooibos tea I just drank. As you open your eyes slowly, try to bring your awareness back again to the things you see around you, what that actually looks like. Can you see how the things you looked at before look a little bit different now than they did before? Maybe you're more aware of the temperature of the room on your skin, or some sounds in the background. Maybe there's another scent in the air. Just be aware of how much the senses change after meditation. As there is definitely a shift when you come out, especially directly after you come out of meditation. So I'm going to drink some tea, and you're welcome to join me, or if you have any questions or thoughts that you'd like to bring up, feel free to do so. See, hi Mindful Mama, nice to have you here. Julian Katz is saying, I had a burnout during my medicine studies 2 years ago, and since then my life changed. I still have phases where I feel high levels of stress and tension in my throat, etc. Do you have a tip what to do? I don't know if you knew, but I've had a burnout myself that was really bad. And I've talked about this before. I think I made a video. If you go back a little bit on my channel, there should be a video where I talk about how I got out of burnout, I think. But some of the things that hit me when you say that is that the stress and tension in my throat, there's usually a pressure on the chest, which tends to be anxiety. The first thing to do is figure out what your stress triggers are. And since it seems to be similar to many people who have burnout, one of the things that really make it difficult for me are overwhelming of the senses, meaning that if I'm in a room, it's much better now, but when I was bad, if I was in a room having a conversation with music on in the background, that just gave me a headache, and I started feeling nauseous, and I just started having anxiety because I couldn't filter out the sound of the conversation from the radio. It was too much to do that, so I couldn't hear what was said. I couldn't listen to what they were saying to me. And another one of the things that give me a lot of tension is the temperature. If it gets really warm, if there's a stuffy smell in the air, and I have too warm clothes on, that just stresses me out. Let's see what else is really bad. Time pressure. If I need to be somewhere at a specific time, at a specific place, that really makes me stressed when I know I need to move. Or if I'm waiting for someone to come, I can get stressed by not knowing when they're going to come and just waiting for that. So there's if you find what really creates those stress reactions, you can learn how to live with it. So I know what makes me stressed. I'm very clear on the signals that, oh, now it's coming, now it's getting difficult. So then I can tell my fiance, okay, right now I cannot handle the kids right now, so could you take over, and I can take a break so that I don't get overwhelmed. If I know that I've had a difficult night and I didn't sleep well, then I know that the day after I have to be more careful. I watch how many things I take on, and just, it's basically like an allergy. Yeah, someone told me being burnt out, having been burnt out is like having an allergy. You're allergic to stress. There are certain triggers that are pollen that make you allergic. So learning what those are and just accepting it as a part of life. I mean, we focus a lot on enjoying being here, and there's no reason why you couldn't do that. It just means you need to limit your life. Sorry, that sounded bad. Limit what you do in your life. I hope that makes sense. And there's many more things for sure, but I'd recommend you watch that video. And I did make a video quite a while ago about what it's like living with panic attacks or something like that, which I'd recommend you watch also, where I talk more about it. I hope that helped. That was actually some while ago. Yes, I hope you're still here, Julian. Let's see, Mats is saying, I tried approaching complimenting random people without expecting this Tuesday. There is a lot of distortion, very interesting challenge. I wanted to just compliment a very stylish woman's jacket. Oh, that's amazing. But when she noticed me, she was kind of anxious, but happy to receive the compliment. It was pretty difficult to feel distortions at this point, especially since she was way prettier than I first noticed. But it's a good challenge, in my opinion, to face distortions and go to the stores to tell yourself, sorry for the world take. No, I'm happy you told us, Matt. That's the disadvantage to just doing this via text. Otherwise, like I said, when I'm done with the course, I'm going to look at a way of having maybe some kind of more intimate group where we can have Zoom conversations once per month or something like that, and people can talk, because it's an easy way of interacting. Approaching random people and talking to them is something I love doing, and it's just that when I feel good, it's just so natural to do it. We went to a Christmas fair this weekend, and I just felt in a good mood, and then I saw people walking around, and then I just walked up to, oh, that's interesting, what's that? Someone was feeding their dog through a tube. They were just squeezing something out. It looked like toothpaste. And my daughter was with me, and she was also looked like, what are they doing? And I just walked up and like, hey, are you feeding your dog toothpaste, or what are you doing? And some people were a little bit, wait, what? And I'm not used. The Swedish people are a little bit reserved, like what? But then when they can feel you don't want anything from them, when you're not coming with an agenda, but you're just interested in having an open conversation, there are very few people who don't want to have that. Obviously there are some, but the majority of people would be very happy to just share. And it was actually, I think it was some kind of meat, like in a paste or something that they were feeding them. And I was just in a good mood when we were there. And I think it's important to show my children also that, hey, don't be afraid of strangers. People like it when you come up to them with a friendly approach, when you're not coming up to them wanting to get something from them, or if you're nervous and goes out, well, like, okay, wait a minute, why is he nervous? If you would have just, okay, I'm not saying you did bad, I'm just saying it would be different if you walked up to a person with, oh, I'm a little bit nervous, and then you're going to say something, or you just walk by and say, oh, wow, that's a really beautiful jacket you have on. I love that color on you, it looks great. There's very few people, very few women who would say, like, hey, stop doing that, like, it's creepy. I mean, if they do, it's them, it's not you, kind of, unless you're doing it in an obnoxious or rude way. So it's really that's actually a really good exercise, Mats. You could try that. It doesn't have to be women, because it's just random people, and seeing that people are very open to just talking to them. I mean, I used to do this so much more when I was younger, and I know there's some women, my fiance I'm thinking about, she loved to, when she was younger, she used to do that much more, but then when she did, men thought she was interested in them, and then it got misinterpreted, and that's one of the problems, like, people can read other things into it. But if you're really clear on where you stand and when you're there, and like solid in where you are, it's just a conversation, and it's very fun. You might actually meet someone you like, and like, I'm not talking as in a relationship, but just like someone who's cool, and you might become friends. Or if not, they'll remember, because how often do you have someone come up to you and say, like, hey, that's a cool jacket you have on, and not wanting anything from you, not trying to sell anything, just saying, like, that looks cool, or I noticed the pin you have here. What is that? I've never seen that before. Or I love the way you walk, like, with that cool stuff. Or like, I sometimes see tattoos, and I would before I used to say I would never have a tattoo. Now I'm kind of like, no, I probably wouldn't get a tattoo. I don't see the point. But I think it's really cool on some people to see tattoos. I'm like, wow, that's a really cool tattoo. And sometimes, people have tattoos all over the face, and it's very difficult for me not to look at them like, wow. Scary looking tattoos as well, but I think it's kind of interesting to look at them. And I've asked people, like, well, if there's people that seem unfriendly or dangerous, I don't go up to them. But many people, even though they have that, they can be really friendly and just very open, even though we make an assumption that, oh my goodness, they have dead skulls and stuff, so they obviously are dangerous. But yeah, it's very fun talking to people. I like that exercise much. It's a bit more advanced, or maybe not advanced, but more high risk. So I think it's a great way to practice. Maybe you should do that every day. You should go up to one person and say something, or just ask them a question. Do you know, like, which way is it to go to that? Just asking someone and just getting comfortable with talking to other people. I like that much. Nice. Let's see, Mindful Mama. I remember the most important thing for me was that you said, accept that you will never be the same again than the person you were before. Yes, with in regard to the burnout, I've said that quite a few times. That it's just accepting that I'm not the same person. I am a damaged person in many ways. I cannot handle the same amount of stress and intensity that I could before. I could, after this meditation, sit and work on my next video or do so. I would love that. I have the energy to do it. But if I do, I know that I won't be calmed down enough to go to sleep, and I will go to sleep too late. And the stress of not calming down, it's very important for me to do that, to be able to handle my burnout. So I'm just not who I used to be. And that's okay. I mean, I just adjust to that. What's the point of fighting it? I mean, that's reality as it is. And I enjoy my reality. My life is better now than before the burnout. Really accepting that hit me so hard, yeah. I've had gone through a burnout though, too. Cool practice, Mats. I am going to do that practice too. Nice, my phenomenon. Jack Crasher. How do Buddhist scholars in the monastery explain the Mara stuff? Are they considering it to be a human sensation, feeling, or emotion? Mara, you mean the Mara that came to the Buddha during his, when he was sitting under the tree, what is it, the fears or the, no, what is it, Mara did? Yeah, she tempted the Buddha. Is that what you mean, Jack, or which part do you mean? Mats, I tried it with other people too. I often like just to have random conversations or add random compliments, but with women there's a lot more distortion. Oh, nice. Yeah, try it. It's a very good skill to have, and if you're comfortable with men, then eventually be comfortable with women. Women really aren't different. They're the same as us, you know. Well, except that we biologically a bit different, but it's still like the same. Mindful Mama, I'm very interested in how that practice goes for you. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, do it, and then we can share. I'd love to hear that. I don't think there should not be distortions, is it? Because then you maybe can never talk to anyone ever again. I don't think there should not be distortion. Not be no distortions, if I understand correct, Martin. But just observe the distortions. Well, so when there's no distortions, there's no sense of you that being there. Then it's just things happening. That would be non-centricness or non-duality in its purest form. You can absolutely have a conversation from that point. In fact, I would say that when the more non-centric I am, the more people around me enjoy talking to me, especially the kids. They love being with me when I'm like that, because I'm not there trying to get my point across, even though I might say, hey, we still have to put the clothes on, but there's not that intensity of a person needing something to happen from reality for them to be happy. So it's not that you're, or maybe you're meaning like, yeah, don't take away the distortions. In other words, you shouldn't go up to someone, have a conversation like, oh, I feel distortion, and then push them away. There's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to let them go up and see that, hey, there's 2 points happening. There's like a feeling of me going out to a feeling of them. And those are the things that we're working with. Like, you see the thing is hitting, and then let go of that. And the way you do that is by leaning into enjoying, leaning into feeling good despite that feeling of, ooh, this is scary. And when you do that, that kind of messes with this sense of self, because the sense of self is like, nay, this is scary. Hey, this is life or death. You're going up to a woman, they can kill you. Well, not kill you, but they can, something bad will happen if they say no. Imagine if you go up to them and say like, hey, I don't want to talk to you. I mean, that would be, I don't know how you could go on with life after that. That would be terrible, obviously. So it's not about pushing down the distortions. It's about letting them come up and seeing that there's nothing there. Sorry for my poor English. Yes, the god of death or whatever. Yeah, like I said, I didn't really have that many discussions about that, but I did remember discussing the story of the Buddha sitting down and facing the things he did when he got enlightened. And there's differences in how they view that. Some people view it as absolute truth. That is what happened. Other scholars view it as a way of explaining the things that he would need to face to get to where he got to when he got enlightened. So it's not really that he actually sat down and did those things, but it's that they represent the challenges one needs to overcome to become enlightened. So those are the two different views on how people tend to view that, scholars and non-scholars. I hope that made sense. It's Mats, I know, but when women get approached, they are often a bit more unsure because of safety concerns, creeps, and of course, the stories about dating in my head. Very potent distortions in that intense. Feeling that she might be interested in a date, which is in the future and not in the now. My desire for companionship creates distortion. Absolutely, they do. And and you know, the distortions are made to help you carry on the gene pool, kind of. I believe it's a very primal thing making us survive and carry on the species. So they have a purpose. It's not that they're bad inherently, but those things are very deeply ingrained and very important to us, so they have stronger distortions. Like I have distortions now that I'm making myself dizzy. So with the same thing with this, it comes up, but it's really just... It's just learning. When you start seeing, that the main thing when you start seeing this is that you see it in everything. You're actively going out and aggravating these things and learning to let go of them, which is a really good thing to do. But what happens when you start watching this is that you notice that you have distortions all the time towards all kinds of things. And it affects how you behave. Like it affects your personality. I'll give an example. I had when I had the meditation yoga course, there's a teacher, and she's a very good teacher. But for me, she was very insecure in some ways, because when she was standing and teaching, she was saying, "Oh, because this is the name of the pose," and shit in Sweden. Then she said it in Sanskrit, and she's like, "Oh yes, I know it's silly we call it like that." And she almost looked ashamed, like, "It's so silly. I don't want to seem like this geek who just says like these Sanskrit words." And she was. I could see how she had distortions because she was afraid, what would people say when I'm saying these things, because they're Swedish men, maybe they think it's silly when I say Sanskrit words, or instead of just saying, "Oh, so this term in Sanskrit has the name Yavana Pranashnana." I don't actually know, and she could say that. So when you start noticing this, you'll notice that there's a lot of distortion towards things you wouldn't even consider. And when you notice it, you're like, "Hey, wait a minute, I'm behaving in a certain way because of these distortions." You're actually aware of it. Most people would like not even go up to women because they just feel that fear, like, "Oh, okay, I'm not going to do it." You're like, "Oh, wait a minute, the distortion is a problem. I mean, I know that the woman is not an alien, like that's going to eat me or anything. It's just a woman. I can go up and talk to them, but you're actively focusing on the thing preventing you from doing what you want to do. So when you take away these distortions, then you can be who you want to be, not because of what society tells you to be or what you've been brought up or your family, whatever has happened, because they are the ones who help us create these distortions towards things. They keep us in check with the reality that they want to have. So when you go outside of that, you go like, "Oh, this feels uncomfortable. This is not really like, no, this is not okay. I can't do this. This is dangerous. Like I can be hurt." And you're actively breaking those patterns. So it's kind of going outside of the expectations that society and your friends around you have of you. Mindful Mama, I understand much. There is so much more to it. Man-woman interactions. Yeah, that is true. It really is something that interacting men and women, there is a lot behind it. And I'm fortunate that I have a beautiful woman that I live with and whom I love. And we both are interested in this. So it makes it a lot easier to practice this. But it's not that we're together and we skip that. No, like we can take that even deeper. Like what is it like to be with someone and just experience them without the story around it? It's like everything becomes more intimate and enjoyable. And it's so incredible when you see a person without the filter of like, okay, I need them for this or they shouldn't do this. Like obviously those things come up, but instead of just making them color the relationship, we both work on taking those away so we can just see each other and just seeing like, hey, it's a nice person who's here and their friend. It's actually another human being who's choosing to stay together with me, with these kids. And it's like, that's incredible. So reality becomes more, you appreciate reality more, because it's not, oh, we've been together for 9 years and we have kids together. She can't leave me. She's stuck. No, it's really like realizing like, hey, wait a minute. We can't take anything for granted. This is really incredible. It is. Reality becomes quite special when you take away the distortion of the sense that expect things to be a certain way. There's also a scary part to it, and that you realize, hey, wait a minute, I can't expect reality to be a certain way. We all take it for granted that we have food all the time, we have water all the time, we can go out and it's safe and there's no war here, hopefully, where you're staying at. We can't take that for granted. I mean, we don't know that for sure. When I was traveling in Sri Lanka, I traveled through war zones, in Asia, and some places were really scary places to be, and the people who lived there did not have the kind of luxuries we do, and we take that for granted. But that's not true. That is not something we can take for granted. And when you start taking away this distortion, there's a sense like, oh, wait a minute, the world is actually precious. This surrounding around me is precious. It's beautiful in its own way. And we start appreciating being here. Not the story of what's happening around, but like right now. Hey, look, there's food here I can eat. That's incredible. Oh, it tastes good. It's nice to eat food. It's nice to be able to taste. It's nice to be able to see my food. I can actually see. I have both my arms. I'm breathing air. Like really appreciating and enjoying what it is like to be alive. It's really that simple. It's getting a bit late, I see. We have such nice discussions, so it tends to get late. To make it flow. Let's see. Wait, I understand what Jack. I mean, after years of tutelage and punishing his body, then he sits and meditates very intensely. So I was wondering if he ever discussed it with like Pindola and Ananda about the day he broke his mind. No, I think there's just a basic story. I personally don't believe that story. From the perspective, if he did what I consider to be liberation, meaning letting go of the sense of self and not pushing against things, that would basically be, it's said as a story, it's like, and he sat down under the tree, and there was someone telling, like in the background, like a movie, and he crossed his leg and he said, I will sit here, you shall not pass. And then he just sat down and he meditated until the world opened up in front of his eyes, and it was amazing. Like, there's just so much self in that story. It makes no sense from the perspective of overcoming the sense of self. From the perspective of having a story that teaches certain aspects of what is inside the practice you need to do, makes a lot of sense. But as an actual story, from my perspective of what we're talking about here, now it doesn't make any sense at all. But that's my opinion. That's not how it's talked about. To make it flow, and what it took to face Mara and self-awareness. Mats, one problem I have when interacting with other people while facing distortions is that I tend to take on their feelings. I kind of lose my emotional center. Very difficult, yeah. It's basically just bleed through. And a lot of people are proud of that. It's called, is it empath it's called? And like, I'm an empath. I can feel what you're feeling. Hey, don't criticize me, and it can get really over the top sometimes. Just focus on you. It's enough. Just focus on what you're feeling and how you're experiencing the world, which is easier said than done sometimes. I'll just finish these and then we'll tie it up for the evening. Mats, to navigate your own feelings when you get empathetically overwhelmed. Yeah. Mindful Mama, I understand and recognize that too much. Jack Crasher. It's a nice story though. It absolutely is. Mindful Mama, but their feelings are not for us to take over. We can just feel them, but it's difficult sometimes. Yeah. To separate them. Anyhow, I took enough of your time. No, absolutely not, Jack. It's nice. Thank you everyone for tonight. I enjoyed it as always. I hope you have a nice weekend. And like I said last time, it's not just something I say. I thoroughly mean it. Mats, I'm really proud of Mats actually going out and looking at distortions. Try to, for this, like until next Monday, focus on looking on when you're feeling distortions. Ask yourself throughout the day, how am I doing right now? How am I experiencing right now? What's coming up inside of you, and seeing, are there distortions controlling you? Someone could say, I had a conversation with one of my students who call it conditioning, which is a really good concept. The distortions are the conditionings you have. Can you notice them? Can you see how you're being controlled and not actually being you? You're being who you have been made to be, or who society tells you to be. To begin with, just start noticing that and see what we can do about that. Happy weekend, everyone. I hope to see you again on Monday. Bye.